Oh, I'm here with Roman Stiftner now. Roman, you have so many titles. I want to make sure I get them right. So you're Vice President of Euromines, which is based in Brussels, which is the European Mining and Metal and Mining Association. You're Director General of Umicon, and you're the CEO of the Austrian Mining and Steel Association. So welcome, thank you for taking time here at PDAC to talk to us, because North America, Canadians particularly, are very interested in learning about diversifying our supply chains and trading partners with everything that's going on in the world, and we're increasingly looking towards Europe. And it's not something that a lot of Canadians are very well versed in, the opportunities, the hurdles, and the contacts there. So I'd like to talk a little bit about this, because we had you here last year, and we talked a little bit about it. So 12 months later, the world is a different place. What's changed? What do you see has changed in the way that Canada and the European Union have connections?
Thank you so much, Steve, for having me again here. I really appreciate that, and indeed, a lot of things have changed. But I want to target it to the European Union. Before I come maybe to geopolitics, I think in the last 12 months, the European Union implemented the so-called Critical Raw Materials Act. And this is something maybe of interest also for foreign investors, third-party investors to Europe. What's going on? The European Union recognized that it's crucial to find more resilience, to get more resilience in the supply chain, the whole value chain, from the raw materials, the processing and the recycling. And clear targets are here formulated. That means that we would like to have minimum 10% of every raw materials mined in the European Union. We want to have a processing capacity of minimum 40% and a recycling content of 25% a quarter. That means we have to invest a lot in the European Union.
And those are pretty aggressive numbers.
That are aggressive numbers, but there are a lot of projects already, and it's a clear target. We have identified this called critical raw materials. I think we are aware about that, but we also identified so-called raw materials that are strategic, they're known to be strategic. But what does it mean? What is the difference? Strategic means that we have identified 4 areas where we see there's a high priority. Of course, it's about the green tech, about renewables. Digitization, the second. The third, it's about space, and the fourth, and I think we have to acknowledge that in this geopolitical situation, it's about defense. And without raw materials, nothing of those raw materials of these supply chains will be fulfilled. We need these raw materials to make this kind of products in the end available to the European society.
Now, and Europe is a leader in wind power, in magnetics, in battery storage as well. And so the strategy is to build on that and expand it out so there isn't as much reliance on foreign supplies of energy, self-sufficiency within the EU?
In the European Union, we are lacking on energy. We have a lot of fossil fuels in the past, used especially gas coming from Russia. This is something that we have to change. We have to go more in investments to renewables, and we have, of course, to find ways how to buffer it, because not always is the sun shining and the wind blowing. So balancing the energy is quite a very intensive issue that we have to face on, and so raw materials are of critical importance. And this is something that we have really to invest in the future.
Mm-hmm. And do you see Canada as being part of that strategy as hopefully a stable trading partner? Is there more interest in not just keeping it within the European Union, but making partnerships with other countries that are able to provide raw materials, expertise, those sorts of things?
So to make it very clear, this critical raw materials act, which I have mentioned, has 3 pillars. First is, of course, making the figures again to use raw materials from the European Union and force the investments, also third-party foreign investment in the European Union. Secondly, to boost the recycling, and thirdly, to have reliable partnerships to third countries. And luckily, there's already signed a contract of a reliable partnership between the European Union and Canada. So it makes it quite easy to invest in both sides of the continent in mining projects and have offtake agreements on that. So this is something that is, I think, of a very interesting point for investors coming from Canada, because we also improved the way how investments become, I would say, unleashed in a way. There's a one-stop shop. That means we have one dedicated partner in per country who is responsible for a mining project, for the permitting. And there are limited time for the permitting. So we also limit it by a clear legislation that 25 months for an extraction project and 15 months for recycling and processing. So in this time, we get a decision for the permitting. So it's not an endless process with all the renewables. So it's more, I think, a very interesting part of investment, because you have clear targets, you have clear risk periods, and then you get hopefully a yes for your permitting and not a no, and then you can go on with your project on the, I would say, very good funding and of course of the legislation that is available in Europe.
And that's got to be very attractive to investors, say from Canada, going there, because permitting has always been the biggest problem. It's all about how quickly can you get your project running, and one of the complaints in a lot of jurisdictions is it can take a very long time. So to have clear targets, are you finding that investors here, because you're here at PDAC, there's a lot of investors here, are you finding that, one, is that surprising to a lot of people, because I'm not sure a lot of people know that, and two, are they encouraged to invest in Europe now that they know it?
That's why we are here. We have to explain. I think, we are maybe known as a very bureaucratic place, but that has changed. It was also recently announced that this Clean Industrial Act. We clearly identified in Europe that reducing the bureaucracy, reducing the regulation, it's a clear measure that we have to implement in the future. We already did it for the mining sector, but we also do it in the future for other industry sectors. So I think there is a kind of change in the mindset, and it should attract investments from third parties. And for the European Union and its society, it's important to become more resilient in the supply chain from the mining, processing, and the recycling areas, really to fulfill here the needs for the future already mentioned.
Are you finding a lot of Canadian investors or companies, suppliers are traveling more and more to the European Union, to Austria as well, to look for investments, look for a happy place for their money to go?
I was really surprised to have so many people on our booth here. So it was a kind of a...
It's nice to be popular.
Yeah, in a way I think there is more interest now. Maybe this is also a result of geopolitical situation, that I think it's raw materials are not seen anymore as a free trade commodity. Raw materials are strategic in the whole manner, and I would say having friends, having reliable partnerships matters. And this is something that we become more reliable in a way of a mutual exchange. And Canada and the European Union, I think, share a lot of same values. Sure, we have very, I would say, alignment in our supply chain, in our interest, in our common sense. And this is something that we feel here in PDAC, that some investors are very interested in investing in Europe. And I think also other way around, that we see a resilient supply chain also for buying in Canada, especially rare earths and other raw materials.
And I'm not going to say that investors are lazy in North America, but they do have this idea of a north-south axis, that they invest in projects in the United States, Mexico, Central America, South America. They think up and down as opposed to side by side. But as you said, geopolitics these days has made people rethink, I think, some of that alignment, and they are looking for new welcoming jurisdictions, and the European Union has certainly done a lot to dispel the idea, like you said, that it's overly bureaucratic and it's hard to get projects done with these tight timelines. I think that's got to be very appealing to a lot of people who are looking to not put all their eggs in the north-south basket anymore.
Yeah, we can also show the results. There was a call which was closed last August, and we have 170 projects identified already in all the different strategic raw materials. I think that shows the interest, and that gives, I think, some kind of attractiveness and security also to Canadian investors to have a look to Europe and to see that really a lot of things changed to the better, and I think this could be a good restart of a good collaboration also in the raw material sector.
Now, prediction time, and it's hard to predict anything these days because every time you open the newspaper or look at your phone, something has changed. But if you were to make some general predictions, if we were here 12 months from now, how do you see that relationship continuing to evolve between North American, Canadian investors and the European Union?
I think that there is a mutual interest of having reliable partnerships, and I feel that mood here, that there is something ongoing. There is something. There has something changed in a way how we perceive raw materials, and I think this is. A general change in mood that motivates me and that makes me very optimistic that we will see a big increase in this collaboration into the next 12 months and of course beyond. This is something that makes me also in a way, I would say, more optimistic when I look to a geopolitical situation, which is of course not so much enjoyable in the moment, but having this kind of friendly relationships makes us a bit more resilient when it comes to third parties.
Well, it's great. Well, it's good to know that Europe is open for business and welcoming, and I look forward to catching up in 12 months to see where we are then. Thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.